Now, next week, we're going to try an experiment. We're going to have, I believe, we're going to have someone who's volunteered to try to translate, okay? So we're going to do an experiment next week and see how this works. And so those of you who speak Italian, I know Annie doesn't even understand what I'm saying right now, but next week, we're going to try to do an English and Italian service together with translation, okay? So we'll see how this goes. And so just pray with us for that God would use that here in the local community. Genesis 1:1 says this, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth." With this short sentence, the Bible opens by introducing us to our God and our Creator. With God's help, these coming weeks, we will begin the study of the foundations of our faith. You may ask, why do we need to study the foundations of our faith? The answer is that our faith must be renewed day by day. If you read through the Bible, you will notice that there is a common theme that is repeated again and again throughout the Bible. And it's not exactly what you think it is, okay? There is a very common theme, which is salvation. But the theme I'm talking about is a little bit different one. And that theme is, remember what God has done. And it's throughout the entire Bible. If you'll look through it, you'll see again and again, God is reminding us. The prophets are reminding us. The apostles are reminding us. Remember what God has done. In the Old Testament, God was constantly reminding Israel of what He'd done for them. In the New Testament, we are constantly reminded of what Christ has done for us. It tells us that men are quick to forget or ignore the goodness of God. We forget really, really quickly. Therefore, we need to be constantly renewed of the remembrance of the foundations of our faith. Faith, according to the dictionary, is the complete trust or confidence in someone or something. In the next few minutes, we will consider 3 facts about faith. Number 1, everybody has faith. Number 2, not all faiths are of equal value. And number 3, faith in God is a sure faith. Those are the 3 things we're going to talk about in faith. The first one, everyone has faith. I know there are many who will tell me they are men and women of science. They claim they live by fact, not by faith. Well, just hold on, and we will get to science in the coming weeks. For now, let me use a demonstration to prove to you that everyone has faith in someone or something. I will take it a step further and say that everyone uses faith every single day. So for now, let us consider a simple demonstration of faith. I have a brown bag right here. I actually have 2 of them, but we're going to talk about this brown bag right now. Okay? In my brown bag, there is a plate with a delicious chocolate cake and a glass of blue sports drink. If you would like to volunteer to drink and eat my snack, I want you to raise your hand. Okay, I got at least 1 person. You got 2 people? Okay. I got 3 people. My family won't. Okay, I don't know why they won't. Everybody's okay. Now, a few of you have demonstrated faith. Okay, you've demonstrated faith. You have expressed confidence and trust in me that I am telling you the truth, that there is a snack under that bag. And your faith is rewarded. Okay? There is a snack underneath my bag. Just like I said there was. Now, let me ask you again to raise your hand, and this is anybody, if you would volunteer to eat my snack. Nobody back there. I got to queue up on more people. Nobody over here wants to eat my snack. I'm not going to make you eat it. I'm asking you, would you eat it? Oh, come on now. Okay. Okay, so I got a few more people who are expressing their faith that they can have this snack. Of course, you're still trusting me, right? You're trusting that I'm going to actually give it to you, okay? But you're not only trusting me, you not only have faith in me, but you have faith that this food is edible, right? You know what? You have faith that, listen, the manufacturer made it and it's not poisonous, right? You have faith that even though you did not see it being produced, that it's actually what it claims to be. You have faith that a farmer went out in a field and planted grain, and he harvested that grain, and that it was taken to the mill, and it was ground, and it was turned into flour, and it was taken to the bakers, and the baker made something that was edible. See, you have faith in a lot of things, don't you? And as a matter of fact, you didn't see any of those things, did you? And the truth is that those of you who didn't raise your hands, okay, the number one reason why you didn't raise your hand is you probably either A, you have a policy of never volunteering, which is a lot of you, or you're afraid that I'm trying to pull some kind of trick on you, which I'm not, okay, or you think that this food is pretty bad for you, which it probably is, okay, and so you didn't raise your hand. But the truth is, if I gave you something that you like to eat, like this afternoon at the table, you would eat it. All of us use faith every single day. We use faith. See, believing is not seeing. It really isn't. I know people say that. But the truth is, we believe in things all the time that we do not see. So why do you believe? You believe because you've seen, you believe all these things have occurred to bring us to this point of this snack being here. Why? Because you see the end results of the snack. You don't see all the steps that took place to bring this to you, but you do see what happened in the end. You may have heard in the past, you may have possibly seen some of the processes that take place to bring us this snack. You may have heard other people tell you about the processes that took place to bring you this snack. But the bottom line is you are willing to eat this snack because you have faith that it has been done right. See, faith is an act of belief based upon what we believe to be true. And I want to bring us all the way to the end here, and I want you to understand this brings us to the definition of faith found in Hebrews chapter 1. I'll let you turn there, Hebrews chapter 1, verse 1. The Bible says this is starts the roll call of faith. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Paul starts the roll call of faith by giving us two aspects of faith. First, faith is the substance of things hoped for. Substance here means the firm foundation of things hoped for. These things are hoped for not because they have been seen, but because God has promised them. Just like some of you believed me that I had a snack under the paper bag. If you continue to read chapter 11, you see example after example of faith in action. These people's faith acted upon the firm foundation and confidence in the promises given by God. I don't know if everybody's following along what I'm saying, but faith is a substance of things hoped for. In other words, we know we have a firm foundation based upon the things that have happened in the past, that God is really who He claims to be, and we, based upon that firm foundation, hope for the future that God is going to keep His promises. Now, it's not a hope so, maybe so. It's a hope based upon the promises of an unchanging God that never lies and has never failed man in the past. That's our firm foundation, the substance of our faith. But then I want you to see the second aspect is the evidence of things not seen. As we look at the evidence of faith in the lives of these men and women listed in chapter 11, we can see God's promises kept. And we can be confident that God does not lie. While we cannot see the future, we are confident in the unseen because of the evidence of faith both in the lives of others and our own life. So, some of you were willing to have a snack after you saw that others' faith was rewarded by the promise of a snack being true. In other words, some people, when they saw the paper bag, they said, I'm going to trust Daniel. I'm going to trust Pastor Daniel that there's really a snack under there. They had faith in what I said. Okay? Others of you were willing to have faith after I removed the sack and you saw that their faith was rewarded. And so you followed that. And that is the evidence of things not seen. In other words, why? Because we can look in the Bible and we can see that Abraham's faith was rewarded. We can see that Noah's faith was rewarded. We can see that the apostles' faith was rewarded. We can see that Nehemiah's faith was rewarded. That Esther's faith was rewarded. That Ruth's faith was rewarded. And because we see that their faith is rewarded, that is our evidence. Okay, that thing that God could keep the promises of the past, He will keep the promises He makes to us. The center of a Christian's faith is in Jesus Christ. If we look in Hebrews chapter 12, you should be right there, verses 1 and 2, it tells us this. After the roll call of faith, then Paul continues on and he says, wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which does so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. I hope you realize, as we've sat down here today, so far, number one, that everyone has faith. You express faith by trusting me with the snack. It showed that everyone has faith. They are confident. The reason we can say that is because they are confident and trust in someone or something. However, not all faith is of equal value. I trust in God, my Creator, and I hope to show you in the next few weeks that my faith is not a blind faith, but is instead based on Jesus Christ, God in the flesh, who has been seen and even now is sitting at the right hand of the throne of God. So that's number one. All men have faith. Number two, not all faiths are of equal value. As previously shown, everyone has faith and acts upon that faith. However, as also shown, not all faith is of equal value. Let us go back to our demonstration of faith on the table. You will notice that I have a second paper bag. on the table. I have a snack under this bag too. How many of you would volunteer to eat the snack under the second bag? I'm getting a few more. Okay, I'm getting a few more hands. That's good. Okay. Is your faith increased that I'm telling the truth? Yeah, it is. Because I kept my word the last time and produced a snack. You've trusted me to believe that I've got a snack under that bag too. It's how faith works, by the way. Your faith increases as you see God keep his promises. Amen. You will notice that there is a difference in my snacks this time. My original snack is an open glass of blue liquid and a rectangular chocolate-covered object. They could be a glass of antifreeze and a block of wood covered in chocolate. Nobody's been up here to check it, right? Nobody's eaten it. My second snack is a sealed bottle. Sorry, let me get this where you can see it. It's a sealed bottle. It is a sealed bottle of blue sports drink and a sealed package of chocolate snack cakes, both from the store. And that is the truth. I have not tampered with them. Which snack do you have the highest confidence or faith that it is really a snack? The first one or the second one? The second one. You have a higher confidence and more faith that that second one is really what it is. Because it is sealed. And our experience and testimony of others gives us confidence and trust that the company that produces the drink and the cake keeps its promises. Now, let us consider the motivation of the company to keep its promises. Their motivation is important because it will either increase or decrease our faith in them. Their motivation, the motivation of the company is what? It's profit. The motivation of this company is to make a profit. You know that if they want to make money, people must buy their product. People will only buy their product if they believe and are confident that they keep their promises. This motive of the company is good to a certain point. But it can be turned to very dark purposes because at its root, it is self-serving. It is very self-serving and not for the good of the customer. If we look at the ingredients on the back of a package of processed food, we find a virtual chemistry lab of ingredients, don't we? And I'm not going to try to read this. This is all in Italian. I could have Andy come up and read it. But you know, if you've ever looked at the back of one of these things, it's full of all kinds of stuff that you don't even know what it is. They got big, huge names, benzene, phosphate, and all kinds of other stuff. Now, we do trust that these chemicals that they've included in these foods are safe to consume. We believe the government when they say that they're safe for us. But you need to understand that the company has often chose these chemical ingredients not for our good, but for their good. Because they want to maximize their profits and minimize their cost. However, it gets a whole lot worse. Many food and drugs promise that they will improve your life or help you in a specific area. When in reality, they not only do they often live up to their promise, they don't even live up to their own promises, okay? But they actually cause harm. By their side effects and by the damage that they cause in our bodies. A good example of this is alcohol. I have never seen an advertisement for alcohol with a picture of a dead body on it. Nor have I seen one with an abused woman. Or for that matter, an abused child. I've never seen one. Yet 50% or better of all violent crimes involve the use of alcohol. What do the makers of alcohol promise? Well, they promise, if you look at their advertisements, they promise a good time. That's what they promise. They say, drink our product and you'll have a good time. But in reality, it's very different. See, not all faith is of equal value. The makers of alcohol promise a good time. Many people, even though they know that these promises are not true, they know they're not true. They place their faith in these false promises because for a moment they receive pleasure, but the end result is their destruction. Just because you have faith does not mean that it's of equal value to another person's faith. I want to share with you the most valuable faith you will ever have in your life right now. And that is, faith in God is a sure faith. That's number 3. We opened our study this morning with Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. God opens the Bible with this simple, foundational statement. God does not attempt to prove he exists. He simply states that he does exist. However, throughout the rest of the Bible, he reveals himself to man that all men may know who he is. He gives multitudes of testable promises, many that have already been fulfilled, to show us that he does not lie. Yet even after all these proofs, more than any other person in history, he's given more proofs of himself than any other human being, any other person. I say person because he's not a human being, but any other person, Jesus Christ, I understand God in the flesh, but understand he's given more proof of his existence, more proof of his power than any person in the history of mankind. Yet even after all these proofs, God is rejected by the vast majority. See, when it comes to faith, mankind can be easily divided into 2 groups. Those whose faith is in God and those whose faith is in something else. When we talk of faith in God, we are not talking about religion. Religion says they believe in God, but in reality their faith is in themselves and the good they have done. That's what religion is. The motive of religion is the same as the company, self. It's self. And let me help you understand that. Self-righteousness, self-justification, and self-promotion, with the goal of self-improvement in this world. That is the goal, the motive of religion. I have met many people who have told me they have their own religion, and truthfully, they speak the truth. Everyone has a religion. In your religion, you might not claim to worship God, or even some God, but you worship nevertheless. And your motivation is the same, self. That's your motivation. Now let's consider God's motivation for his actions. And this is where it separates the 2 faiths. A faith that doesn't trust in God and a faith that does trust in God. The difference is motivation. What is God's motivation for his actions towards mankind? Turn to John 3:16. Probably the most famous verse in the entire Bible. John 3:16, we're going to read not just John 3:16, we're going to read down to verse 18. John 3:16 says this, "For God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God." God's motive is simple. It's love. Man's motive is self. Company's motive is self. The devil's motive is self. God's motive is love. His motive is so purely love that in 1 John chapter 4, the apostle John simply says, God is love. Our whole understanding of true love is based on God's love. If I were to ask you what is true love, most of you would answer basically the same thing. And you know what it's based on? God's love. God's love. Because true love is a love that gives without expecting in return. That's true love. It's true love in marriage, true love in between peoples. That's what people are looking for, isn't it? I mean, nobody gets into a marriage and says, you know what, I can't wait for that person to love themselves and to spit on me. Does anybody get into marriage thinking that? I can't wait. No, everybody dreams that they're going to marry someone that will love them. Will love them. In love, God created the heaven and the earth as a place for us to live. Have you ever thought about that? We have a perfect place to live, and it's because God loved us. He didn't create it for himself. He didn't need the earth. He created it for us. In love, he created us. In love, he gave us a free will so we could choose to love. Because love is not a feeling. Love is a choice. God is our example of love. When we choose to reject his love did not end. Get this, his love did not end because he had chosen to love us. Instead, he chose to send his only begotten Son, God in the flesh, to die for us. Instead of allowing us to suffer the just outcome of our rejection of him, death, he chose to die for us that we might have life. The motive of God's promises is love. The motive of man's promises is self. John 3:19 through 21, you should still be there, it says this, "And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men loved darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God." God's love is a powerful searchlight that shines and sees and is able to pierce man's motives. Not only can it pierce man's motives, but it tests man's motives. Man's motives always fail because his motive is self. In verse 21, it says that he that doth come to the light. This is that moment of salvation when a person turns from faith in themselves and turns to faith in God. Faith in God is a sure faith because it's based on what? The love of God. It's based on the love of God and the promises of God. As we close today, I want you to consider Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6. If you'll turn there quickly. Hebrews 11, verse 6 says this: "But without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him." Remember, everyone has faith. In the coming weeks, I will show you again and again that this statement is true. The key is, in whom is your faith? If you will have faith in God, it starts with believing that God exists. This is the foundation of our faith in God, is that he exists and that he's real, that he lives and he operates within our lives. And my goal over the next few weeks is going to be able to show you, to the best of my ability, that faith that we have, that he's real and that he exists, is not a hope so, not a maybe faith, but it is a faith founded upon the fulfilled promises of God and the evidence that we can see in creation, in history, in science, in all these things, that the one thing we can see is that God is real. Why am I doing this? You say, well, this is the crowd that comes to church every week. Because I want your faith to be increased. And I want you to be able to stand. And when people tell you, oh, I don't believe in God, I want you to be able to challenge them about their false faith. Because trust me, they have faith. It's just not good faith. They need to have a real faith in God. Let's go to the Lord in prayer, and I want to ask you to close your eyes as we do at every service. I want to challenge you not just to listen and to hear, but I want to challenge you to take what we've learned today and apply it to your lives. I don't take it for granted that there might not be someone here today that has not placed their faith in Jesus Christ. Their faith is in something else. Their faith is in maybe their own goodness. It's maybe in someone that told them something. They told them that God didn't exist. Maybe their faith is, I just want to do my own thing. But can I tell you, there is no hope in any of those. There's only hope in Jesus Christ. And so if you have not placed your faith and trust in Christ, I want to challenge you today to take some time. And you can either come while Miss Patty plays, or you can talk to us after the service. We're always willing to share with you the truth from God's Word about how you can have faith in God. Christians, today was the foundation for what I want to teach on over the next few weeks, months. How is your faith in God? It's easy to say you have faith in God, but are you really living a life of faith in God? God wants you to live a life of faith. That means living like you really believe there is a God. Because I'm afraid a lot of times in my own life too, Brother Ralph spoke about it in the Sunday school hour. We get entangled in the things of this world. And while we say we believe there is a God, we're not living our lives as if there is one. And so if that's you today, I ask you to pray and recommit to God that you're going to go out this week. I don't say in the future. I say today, tomorrow, the next day. Make a commitment. God, I'm going to live my life in faith that you do exist.